So, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super excited to be able to host this class for Orange County Realtor members. Today, we have Ryan from Reverse Mortgage Educators as our instructor to show you how you can earn more listings with a reverse mortgage for purchase. So, just a couple of things before we begin. First, if you would like to receive a copy of this PowerPoint, please go ahead and send me your emails, and I will get those over to you right now as soon as possible. Next, we are taking questions throughout the class today. You can put a question in either the chat box or the Q&A at any time. The Q&A button can be found at the bottom of your screens. Finally, this class is being recorded, and I believe Elsie will be sending that recording over to you as soon as possible, as well as it will be in the OCAR YouTube channel. But please stay until the very end, as we will talk about complementary software and marketing materials to reel in the next listing. Okay, Ryan, you can take it from here now.
Okay, so this is part two. And if you all missed part one, that should be available in recording and just let us know. Part one really talked a lot about reverse mortgages. And part two, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about reverse mortgages, but we're going to just talk about more of a survey of what we see from our perspective in the reverse mortgage world happening with our older homeowners. And then also get into some prospecting. Um, so even though I do loans and I don't necessarily do real estate, I still go out there and try to find people that just need our help. They need a realtor's help. They need a loan officer's help. In other words, they have a cash flow issue and they're an older homeowner. And that's what I look for. So a lot of the stuff I do translates into things that you guys can use to, you know, maybe find your next listing there in your area. So we'll log into 3 different softwares today, and we will give you those logins. If you're giving us your email address there, we will give you the same logins that I'm going to use today. Well, not the same logins, but logins for the same systems I use. So that way you can duplicate what I do today if you want. And that it's kind of fun. You'll see. I have a good time doing it. Um, and well, if you want to ask questions, you can put it in the chat, and I'll keep an eye in chat. I'll keep an eye in the Q&A box. And so if you have forgotten some of the first class and you want something peppered again about the reverse mortgage, put it in there. I can't say that I'll answer that right away, but I will get to a little refresher if we have time and you need a little refresher on the basics of the reverse mortgage in general. Okay. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'll make sure I got nobody in the chat, no questions. So yeah, we're ready to go. Um, all right, you should all be able to see the presentation at this point in time. And so let's talk about what issues I've seen facing older homeowners. So as you get out to see 2 or 3 homeowners a week, older homeowners a week that call us up, not necessarily because they want to sell a house, because they need cash flow. And that is where everything starts to come out in the open about what's going on with the homeowner. What are they going to do? What's going on with the cash flow? And so this is important information from our perspective to share with you. And we want to be able to duplicate when I'm with an older homeowner that is having a cash flow issue. We want to be able to try to find that homeowner again, not necessarily that particular one, but one like them that might need to sell their house or need to find a loan, basically, which is one and the same. If you ask me, they have a need for cash. And yeah, and then how do you fit into the mix? So let's get going. Um, a lot of this stuff is not rocket science, and I think we know and see and hear a lot of these things, but I just want to share my perspective. I get called out because usually a retired or older homeowner doesn't want to leave their home. They're experiencing a cash flow issue, and their first initial thought isn't, I'm going to sell this home. That may be what they end up doing, but their initial thing is, hey, let's get this reverse guy out here. I don't really know how these things work. Maybe I don't even want a reverse, but I heard maybe they can help me stay in my house, so I'll call them out. Right. And same thing with the families, too. Sometimes I get calls from the kids going, hey, can you go over there and talk to my mom or, my dad? They're having a cash flow issue. I'm not in a position where I can help them, or maybe I don't really want to help them this point in time. I have my own situation going on. So can you go talk to them about reverse, trying to get cash flow going? And so, yeah, that's why I'm initially called out, is because most older homeowners are thinking, I've been here for a while. I want to stay here. But at the end of the day, these meetings turn into something other than that for many of my homeowners that I meet with. And that's just because we all know that loans aren't what they used to be. I mean, you're seeing it probably with your purchase business in terms of people not being able to qualify for as much, or their payments are way more than they were if they were buying a house, 4 years ago. The refinancing loans, they're not what they used to be as well. I mean, a good old cash out refinance is pretty much gone. So you probably see a lot of advertisements for second mortgages. There's this thing out there called a home equity investment, which is like a second mortgage with no payment. I'll talk a little bit about those today. Um, and so homeowners are just like, how can I get cash? I'm not going to be able to refinance my first because either the new payment would be too high, or I can't qualify for that payment. So the regular old cash out refinance my whole loan is pretty much done right now. Well, what about the reverse mortgage though? Are we in that same boat? Are we seeing situations where we can't refinance? And yeah, we're seeing situations where, as a reverse mortgage loan officer, I can't do as many loans as I used to. I can't get the loans as big as I used to be able to for some of our homeowners. And I'll talk about why that is coming up. So, all that leads me to the next point, which is, if I'm going out there to talk about doing loans to help them refinance, get cash out, and then I let them know there just isn't as many options, or they're not as good as they used to be, will that lead them to want to sell their home? And if so, how do we know who those might be? So that's what we want to work on today. Let's talk about some signs. And I talk about this because, the whole thing about being in the real estate business, the loan business, anything where we are, having to find clients, it sure is nice when we can duplicate something we just did to find the next client, instead of having to think about, oh, I got to start all over again, or I got to do something different. And so I try to group clients in terms of things that I see when I'm visiting them, because I know I'm out there because they need cash. And if I'm out there because they need cash, or, they're trying to find a way to get some equity out, then I want to say, how do I find these people again? Well, let's look at signs and signs that we could use for future. So all the things on the left, external, I call them external because these are things I can find again without needing a referral to the person. I don't have to know this individual. I don't have to know their friends or family. I can just find these people on my own right now. And we'll do a little bit of that coming up. But some of the obvious signs are the houses that aren't in great upkeep. We know this because maybe the car is older in the driveway. We know this because we can find that they are late on their property taxes. We can find that they're in default. Some things that we can do too, which I'll show you, is we can see if an affidavit of death has been filed on the property. There's different things that are public records that we will look at today to try to decide if we have a potential listing on our hands, because, the world is full of data. We have access to so much of it, and we want to see if we can find people without knowing who they are right now or getting referral to them. So all those external awareness things we're going to address today. How about the internal stuff? Well, these things are going on and they're causing financial grief for older homeowners. I got to tell you, this insurance thing, I feel like it's starting to calm down a little bit, but man, did it just overtake my business in a way I didn't think it would? Because 5, 6 years ago, I didn't have very many older homeowners saying, I stopped paying my insurance. My insurance company didn't renew me. I have to go to the fair. I have to do something other than what I've been doing for the last 10 or 15 years. But over the last couple of years, man, I've seen so much of that I would say maybe, okay, 4 or 5 years ago, before the madness started, I would say maybe 1 in 20 homeowners, maybe even fewer than that, would need help with their homeowners insurance. I'm telling you now, it's probably, I would say, 7 out of 10 homeowners that come to me either trying to get loans or tell me that they're having cash flow issues are having a hard time with their insurance. And I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. But just know these insurance things are creating problems with our budgets when we're retired. We have a pretty high credit card debt right now across the board. Some of that is just financing regular living expenses. And so that's a problem. I guess the economy is strong, right? If you look at all the indicators, even with high rates, people are still spending money. And part of that is what's driving the rates to be higher is we keep on spending money. So why lower rates? But for a lot of our older homeowners, they're not spending money that they have from their job or from a second job they're working. They're spending it from credit cards. And so half of the credit card debt that older homeowners have right now is just buying food with their credit card. So that's trouble. There's some other things on here, the list, but the point of the internal awareness is we're going to probably get a referral from somebody who knows that the older homeowner is having some cash flow issues. And I want to get those referrals. So do you. I'll talk a little bit about how I go about getting them. And so to round this out, these things happening here could be an early indicator that someone is having a cash flow issue, and they may ultimately end up selling their home. I'm not going to spend too much time on inflation because you all know about it. It's not going away. We still have great employment apparently in the country right now. If you look at the data, a lot of people have jobs. People are spending money. Maybe we don't have inflation anymore. Well, we do, but even if inflation goes away, we go back to the prices we were at 4 years ago, and you know the answer to that, most likely not. And so this higher price situation, the inflation that we had, that we're still experiencing, it's just making it tough on a retired budget to do these things. Because the stuff that doesn't get reflected in the data, like, maybe gas prices or how much a gallon of milk is, or, these things that they track, is how much it costs to repair a water heater, how much it costs to change the tires on your car, how much it costs just to do things that don't show up in the indicators that really put they put our retired homeowners in a bind when they got to do these things. And so that's where the credit cards come out. And yeah, I heard that home prices are all-time highs still. And so you would think maybe the froth would have come off the market a little bit more with higher interest rates. I don't know. I'm not the economic giant that you can listen to, but that's just what I see in here. So here we go. So anyways, let me tell you where that leads me to, again, is harder to qualify for loans and less money coming out. And that affects our reverse mortgage industry. And I spent some time in the first class, but I'll just cover it briefly again. If you're refinancing with a regular loan and rates are higher, obviously you know what happens. You're like, I'm not going to refinance my great low rate, take on a much higher payment and pull cash out. I'm going to look at a home equity line, right? That's what a lot of people are doing now. How about reverse mortgages? Well, reverse mortgages, we lend money and we don't ask you to make a monthly mortgage payment. And really, the only difference between our loan and a regular loan is a reverse mortgage is just going to ask to get paid back differently. A regular loan, you're going to pay back a little bit each month for 360 months, right? That's like a 30-year fixed. So you're paying the bank back a little bit each month until you pay them off. Well, the reverse mortgage, you're just borrowing money. But of course, you're saying, I'm not going to make a payment, Ryan. Instead, I will pay that interest later. Maybe when I sell the home, maybe when I pass away. No problem. Well, if interest rates are higher and I have to add more interest onto your loan every month when you don't make a payment, that means your balance could go up quicker. Well, that's a problem for our industry. We don't want the house to go upside down. So we can't control how high interest rates are. So the only way that we can try to be sure that we're not going to have the house go upside down if we're adding interest on to your loan every month is to start you with a lower loan amount. And those lower loan amounts dropped quite a bit. They dropped anywhere between about 15 to 20%. So that means if you had an $800,000 home, you were getting on the order of maybe anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 less in cash on a reverse mortgage. So there you go. The higher interest rates drove our loan amounts down. Now, some people might say, okay, well, then I'm getting less cash out. Well, what if the lowering of the loan amount made it so that we couldn't pay off the current mortgage you have? So I'd say I used to be able to get maybe 60 to 65% of the people that wanted a reverse mortgage, I could get them one. This is going back like 4 or 5 years ago because we had lower rates and bigger loan amounts. That pendulum has swung almost exactly the opposite way. Maybe only 35 to 40% of the people that want a reverse mortgage can get one. The other ones might owe too much on their home. So that's the story of higher interest rates and reverse mortgages, which means that we're just going to have less money available. Now, this chart is kind of out of whack. Why? because I did this chart when rates were actually had dropped and now they're back up. So while 2021 is right for about how much money you could get for what age, 2026, you're probably actually back down to getting maybe 25,000 in cash on a loan where 5 years ago you would get 134,000. So you see that swing in the pendulum, and that's even with housing prices going up. So that just made it rough for us. We can still do reverses, just not as many of them. So are you going to move if you find that you need cash and you're having a hard time getting to it? Are you going to move if the house is just kind of too big for you? Are you going to move if you can't get anyone to come help you out as you get older? And yes, as a matter of fact, almost 60% of the homes sold in 2025 was by a homeowner. Okay. Yeah, you see the data right there. That was 61 years or older. So the idea here is that we are, sorry, I mean, flip the screen around on you, is that we are moving when we're older. We're selling our houses. I mean, the baby boomer demographic owns most of the homes anyways. So it's not surprising that we see more homes being sold by older homeowners. But sometimes it's not because they've passed away. Sometimes it's not because they want to. A lot of times it's because they need to get to something that is more fiscally appropriate for them. So just know that, hey, the older homeowners are where the sales are at right now. The average age of a home seller right now is 64 years old. Look at that chart. We've done nothing but increase the age of an average home seller since really 2009, and other than a brief drop in 2007, since 2005. We've done nothing but increase the age that older homeowners are selling their homes. So that's kind of, I don't know, that's good data to know, really. Um, Lots of different reasons for moving from your previous home. I think moving closer to family or friends means you need their support a lot of times, not necessarily because you want to move closer to your family or friends. Maybe that's just me, but we need help from our family and friends. And I'll talk a little bit about what I see with that in real time in a minute. But house is too big. Job relocation or loss of job, upkeep on the house. All of these things are a reason why you might move when you're still fine, when you could feasibly maybe try to find a way to stay, but you're not going to. Um, so how do we find these homeowners? So we know that our homeowners need cash, and you even know that, I think, by just some of the advertisements you see. There's second mortgages right now, even for people that are not older, where you don't have to make a mortgage payment. But those things can be kind of expensive. You can get a no payment second reverse, not reverse, but a no payment second mortgage. It's not a reverse. And the difference is that the reverse lets you live in the house the rest of your life. Even if we have a second reverse, you can live in the house the rest of your life. But there's other products out there that say, hey, we will do a second mortgage. You don't have to make a payment, but that loan is going to come due. And when it comes due, you have to pay it back or you have to refinance. Or if you want to refinance it before it's due, it can be kind of costly. We're talking like 17, almost 18% for that type of loan. Or we're talking about splitting equity, like they split equity in the future. And so when I see more homeowners going to those types of loans, I'm thinking, man, that's kind of an expensive way to get money out of your house if people are doing it. So at the end of the day, we just see homeowners reaching out to try to get money, even if the terms are not all that great. So, we have older homeowners wanting to do reverse mortgages. We have not older homeowners wanting to do no payment second mortgages. And that's just what's happening out there. So how do we find these homeowners, right? That might end up selling because they are finding that they can't really stay in their home anymore. Maybe it's for financial reasons. Remember, I gave you that list of external and internal. So one of the things we're going to do in a little bit is we're going to hop into some software and we're going to have some fun trying to find people without just with pure data, just with us spending we'll spend 10 minutes on some of these softwares today and get ourselves a pretty good indicator of who might need to sell. And that's just us using machinery, technology, and data, right? To the point where you're kind of like, man, think people know that much about me? And it's like, yeah, we do. It's public record, a lot of it. Um, then there's the people, though, that we can't guess with technology or data that houses go on the market. And so, I look through a lot of sales that happen, and I always wonder, and I'm sure you do too, like how an agent from the other side of town, or maybe an agent from San Diego ends up with a listing in Orange County. Like, is it a relative, or did they market to this person? Like, it's so intriguing to me where people find the realtors at, because I'm under the impression that it should be somebody maybe that you know or close to you, or somebody that had access to you. That's what I would like for you guys, because I want every listing in your area to be yours. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. You know the area, you live in the area, you must like it. You probably know a lot about the area, right? Those kinds of things. Um, so, anyways, sorry, I went off on a little tangent. Let's take a look at a few things. So, number one, what I have found is that some of the early spotters, or maybe you call them the financial first line people that know when our retired homeowners are starting to have a cash flow issues, are other professionals like you. Remember I talked about those insurance agents? So I spend time with insurance agents because they're busy right now. They're busy with homeowners who are having a hard time with their premium or replacing their insurance. And when you're retired and you're on a fixed income, and some of these policies are increasing so much, sometimes those policies don't get replaced right away because they go lapse. And I run across a lot of older homeowners with lapse policies. I've had them lapsed for a while. The lenders either has put a forced policy on them, or they're going to. And so I go to the insurance agent. I'm like, hey, I got this homeowner and yada, yada, yada. We got to find a cheaper policy for them. It's the only way they can afford it, Paul. And Paul says, okay, Ryan, I'm going to look for every policy I can that's cheap enough. But here's the thing that Paul also knows. He knows all those other people that I didn't send to him who are having a hard time. So insurance agents can be a good referral source right now, because they're one of those on the front line that are seeing older homeowners that are having cash flow issues. And that could be one of the first leading indicators that someone might needing to sell their home. Or maybe they've forgotten about their homeowner's insurance. Maybe, see what I'm saying? There's just things going on. I don't think most of us forget about our homeowner's insurance unless there's a problem. And those problems could end up needing to have a home sold to resolve it. Um, there's some of these other professionals that I lean into quite a bit. And I have some stuff on my website I'll show you that you can use. It's off the shelf that I've made to reach out to homeowners agents, because I've been keeping a spreadsheet of emails for all the homeowners insurance agents, and I've started emailing them some flyers, and you can have those flyers. I made them. They're on my website. I'll give them to you. Plumbers, a lot of plumbing situations that need attention that aren't getting fixed. The pool guy, sorry, pool guy, you're one of the first to go. You ever see an older homeowner selling a home and the pool's not in great shape? It's because the pool guy is gone. The pool guy was probably one of the first to know that cash flow got tight. Same thing with the pest guys, man. They're one of the first to go. Uh, Case in point, me. Like, at some point in time, I'm paying the pest guy $50 a month. I think I'll live with spiders for a month. Like, those things are easy for an older homeowner to drop, because it's the first way to try to shore up their monthly. So I've been making materials to give to them to try to get some referrals out of them. You can have the stuff I've been making. You can take my stuff and make it your own. But the point is it's like, you know that we're in the people business. And so we have to continue to insert ourselves with the people that are in front of the biggest demographic of home sellers. Okay. And so we'll get into the software, and I'll show you some stuff that I do with that coming up. Check this out. I'm in the reverse mortgage business. I would like to think that every person I give a reverse mortgage to is going to live out their life in their home with no mortgage payment. Now, what a wonderful job I've done, Ryan. Like, it's not, that's not the way it works, unfortunately. Um, First of all, I know a lot of people don't even like reverse mortgages when they get them. They just get them because sometimes it's going to help them, but they never loved the product. I'm somebody's fool. I'm nobody's fool. I don't know what you say, but um, But there's a pretty big data set that I've started to look at and have experience with of people who are not in bad shape, but they're selling their home that has a reverse mortgage on it. And so, of course, I got to say, why am I seeing so much of this? Why aren't all these people who I thought I did such a great job of protecting their future, they end up selling their house? And I'm like, geez, what happened? 8.5 years to 9 years. That's about the average length of time a reverse mortgage is held. So that doesn't mean you got a reverse mortgage and you died 9 years later. Nobody would come and see me because they'd be like signing their sentence to pass away in 9 years. Other things happen. So let's go through those because we can find these homes. This data is available to find these homes. So we can just, number one, we can just start off by looking for homes in our area that they've been in place for 10 years. And I'm going to say, unfortunately, statistically, that homeowner has a better chance of coming to market than another home because we have data on that homeowner and we can get that data. So I will talk about how I approach those people because I think that might be a sale coming up. We have people who we can look at that have affidavit of death filed on their reversed mortgage home. Now, an affidavit of death in general is not a great thing. Obviously, somebody's died that's a homeowner. And and that might result in problems either for the spouse that's remaining or the kids are there and because both spouses have passed. When you have a reverse mortgage and you have an affidavit of death filed, it kind of puts it up to another level because when kids inherit a home with a regular mortgage, sometimes they're gonna whatever they make the mortgage payment for a little while, or maybe they're gonna try to refinance it. Um, but usually, a reversed mortgage home that's been inherited by the kids, 95% of the time, in my experience, they go to market sooner than later. And so, if we know that the people that had reverse mortgages have passed away, we know that there's probably kids there in the early stages of figuring out how to sell the home. Here's the other thing. When I talked about older homeowners selling their homes, so our boomers are the biggest demographic of homeowners, and our oldest boomers are now in their early 80s. Okay, and what I've been seeing more with these boomers is, some of them, more of them are having health conditions that might lead the kids to say, look, mom, dad, you just can't stay here by yourself anymore. I know you have no mortgage payment, but you can't be here by yourself anymore. There's things going on. And I get this information from you all. And a lot of people in Orange County, they call me up, Ryan, I found a homeowner with a reverse mortgage and they want to sell their home. I'm like, why? Are they out of money? No, not necessarily. What's something wrong with the house? Well, no, they just can't do it on their own. The kids are going to sell the house and the parents are going to move in with them or move to a active adult community where they have people around them. Whatever it is, 8 to 9 years, average time frame. How about if you have a reverse mortgage? Let's say that you have a reverse mortgage and I gave you a reverse mortgage, right? And you got rid of your mortgage payment. You're like, great, I got rid of my worst mortgage payment. Things are going to be much easier now. And maybe I give you 100,000 cash because you got cash out as well. Well, believe it or not, people spend the money I give them. Yeah, that's right. Not because they're careless, if you ask me, because life is expensive. Keeping up homes is expensive. Keeping the car up, all these things, your pet, the vet bills, it's just never ending. And 100 grand will go like that, even at 70 years old. Well, for many years, we were able to refinance reverse mortgages when rates were lower. Guess what? Hello, inflation. Hello, higher interest rates. I can't refinance most people that have a reverse mortgage now. It's just a very small percentage that are left that can do that. So a lot of people are sitting in homes. They still have equity, right? Here comes COVID. Here comes all this equity, but here comes higher interest rates in COVID, which means that you have a lot of locked up equity, even in homes that have reverse mortgages on them, that the clients can't get to anymore. So they will sell their home because they need to get cash out of it, even though they have a reverse mortgage. So lots of stuff out there, y'all. And I check on these things, right? Like just even last night, there was a house a block over from me. I saw it sold. It sold for a lower price. I looked at it, had a reverse mortgage on it. They had the reverse mortgage for, I think it was like 8 or 9 years. And so I was like, man, I should have been knocking on that door. Not because I wanted to sell it. I don't know. Maybe I wanted to buy it. Maybe I wanted to give a referral out. Maybe the older homeowner could have sold it and bought with the reverse. I don't really know why, but I know something is going to happen with that house. And I just kind of want to be there to find out. It's 2 blocks over from me. Why didn't I do that? Because I was just too busy. But I should have, because the data tells me that there was something that was going to be there. Anyways, we'll get into how we found all that stuff in a second. I just I just know from being in so many homes over the last 20 years, I've been doing reverse mortgages for about 20 years now, and still running 3, sometimes 4 appointments a week with older homeowners, that the cash flow thing, our oldest boomer getting to be in their 80s, all of these things I'm seeing, and I want to try to see if we can find those people, because if they're going to have to sell their house, they're going to sell their house. And I'll give you some examples of stuff that I recently went out with all the data I pull, because I like to do this stuff. I just don't like to say, oh, this should work. I like to go out and try to make it work so I can report to you guys how I did it and how I made it work. So if you guys want to have some fun and do it, you can. Okay. By the way, here's something that in my opinion here, if you have a retired homeowner or somebody that's older asking about interest rates, it's not because they're dumb or they don't know interest rates are high. They do. I don't care if you're 95 years old, 100 years old. You know interest rates are higher than what it used to be. You know you probably have a lower rate than what the interest rates are. Why are you asking about that? I can tell you why. Because you probably are seeing if there's an opportunity for cash somehow. That's your lead-in question, because you're not going to say, man, who's going to tell a realtor I can barely afford to keep my home right now? Do you know I can get some money? Because you know, as a realtor, what you're going to do. If you don't pull out an RPA right in front of them right then, I'm going to be like, why are you a realtor? Like, those lead-in questions can be scary for a homeowner to ask. So they're going to lightly ask you about things. How does a reverse mortgage work? How does the cash out refinance go today? These are lead-in questions, because they don't want to tell you, I really need some cash. Maybe I might have to sell my home. There's no way. But that's where this thing might be going. So just be prepared for those questions and kind of keep in the back of your mind, even if they're asking about a reverse mortgage, like in the slide I showed you guys, what is the chances of somebody getting a reverse mortgage right now? Maybe 40%. So there's a 60% chance that person is going to have to do something else. I like the odds. All right, let's keep on trucking, y'all. Let's see. We're going to get in the data software. We can find people. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I'll use 3 softwares today to have some fun with you guys. One of them is I've been using for years, Title Pro 24/7, that I've used to find homes. I've used to find homes that ultimately, back years ago, I would buy. I will use Software Title Toolbox, which gives us a lot of cool data. And then we will use my website, which I try to put any kind of materials I'm using, that you guys want to look at and say, oh, I can make this better, Ryan. I'm going to use this, or hey, I'm just going to use this like it is. Um, so we'll use those 3 websites today. And since we have your email address, we will make sure you can get logins to these so you can repeat what we're doing today, because I think it's kind of fun. All right. So now, before I get to this, because I'm just going to let you know, we're ahead of schedule a little bit, definitely. Um, does anybody have any questions on the working of the reverse mortgage? In case you missed part 1 and you have a burning question about how the reverse mortgage works, let's hit that now before we start to get into logging into things, and because we're going to kind of move on past the reverse mortgage a little bit and get more into mining for homeowners here. So, oh, I guess not. I guess you all attended the first class, which was called, I think, the modern age reverse mortgage. Okay. All right. So let's keep on moving then. Let's start with, I'm just going to share my website. So I will share this website. We'll get you into this website here. you will have logged into it. You got to log in to get to this point, but you'll get your logins. So, a couple of things. Number one, our app right now to calculate loan amounts, by the way, is in the App Store, at least for Apple users, but it's a little tough to get to. Why do you want that? Because if somebody wants to know if they get a reverse mortgage, you can calculate it on your phone with our app. And I adjust the app every week because reverse mortgage loan amounts change. But if someone's asking about a reverse mortgage, don't you kind of want to know if they're going to be able to get one? Like, right? I mean, it's not that you don't want to, like, hey, call this guy Ryan, he'll help you out with that. You probably want to do that. But I think the foreshadowing is great for you to know if someone's even going to be close to getting a reverse mortgage. Because after you send them to me, you're going to be like, that person's going to be coming back my way. So, anyways, if you go Reverse Mortgage Educators Inc., right now you got to do the Inc. because the App Store is still a little messed up to get my new app. It'll say developer. It'll say Reverse Mortgage Educators Inc. developer. Okay. Anyways, that's software. That's app that's available for you to run loan amounts. But let's hop into the website. Number one, I have videos and tutorials to help you log into the softwares that we're logging in today. So you don't have to try to write this stuff down or be like, oh, how did he do that? Because they're right here. Like here, I will show you how to log into.
Hi, everybody. Ryan here with Reverse Mortgage.
Box
On your
this
left, the second
video.
drop down says Next Seller.
Okay, how to log into Title Pro. You can use this video.
In our example here, you'll see that we come up.
Okay. And each one of these videos, of course, is like kind of like a different search. But you can also go through all the videos I've done over the last, I think I've been posting these videos for at least 10 or 11 years about things that I've seen that may be helpful to you with older homeowners. But let's go into marketing materials. Some of these are older, they've been around a while. Let's get to some of the newer stuff I've done, but you're more than welcome to check out anything I have on here. We're going to search for reverse mortgage individuals that passed away. So how would you try to get someone at that house if someone just passed away to speak to you? I mean, sure, I'll show you how to grab the phone number. I'll show you how to do all kinds of things, but I actually made a flyer for that. That's the what happens to real estate after the loss of a loved one. So we know there's specific things that need to be done when somebody passes away in their homeowner. And so the person left behind might not know that. So this is a flyer or a pamphlet that you can use. You can put your information right on the back of it. And I'll tell you how I use this one coming up. But just know that this is one that I use to try to get someone to respond to me if it's a house in my area. Okay, so you can load your business card in there, put your name in there, and use this flyer. Let's see, let's go back. We have that one I talked about where I want insurance agents to call me when they have a client that loses an older client that loses their policy because maybe they haven't replaced it. Maybe the client can't afford it or can't figure it out. I want that insurance agent to let me know. So here's a piece that you can have to give to insurance agents. I've been using that one for plumbing. Let's see. What I'll do is when I get, okay, so when I have every time I get a certain number of people on my spreadsheet of like homeowners insurance agents, I have their emails. I will email them that losing policy thing, but then I want to stay in front of them. So I'll actually give them one of these informed homeowners newsletters. And again, these are yours too. Just download and put your name on them because these talk about questions that older homeowners might ask if they're indicating they might need to sell. Like how do capital gains work? How does Prop 19 work? How can I get a loan to buy another house if I'm low on income? So there's things in these newsletters that maybe an insurance agent would find interesting, a plumber, anybody that's dealing with older homeowners. So I want to stay in front of them. And so I have just, stuff that you can use my website to help you do that. I have stuff that I haven't posted on there yet. I'm sorry, just been too busy. But oh, here's another one that I use quite a bit. Okay, I like this one. Your heirs need help inheriting your reversed mortgage home. Like, what does that mean? If I'm a homeowner and I got a reverse mortgage and this thing ends up on my doorstep in my mailbox a couple of times, I'm like, what is this person talking about? So I'll talk about how I use that flyer coming up to generate a call because they actually do need our help. So we'll talk about that one. So these are all flyers that I might use over the searches that we're going to use, and you can just hop on my website and grab them. Okay. All right. So let's run over to Title Toolbox. Again, will help you get logged into these things. So one of the searches I'm going to do is going to be to find all kinds of things. I don't know. I like to do all kinds of things. If I need my code to give me a clue on somebody might be having a hard time with cash flow, or we think that it's more urgent than that. Like it might be a listing coming up sooner. So how I use both of these sites, Title Toolbox has things like affidavit of deaths that are filed, bankruptcies, divorces. They have some stuff in there that's pretty cool. Title Pro, which we'll log into, has things like when a homeowner insurance doesn't have their house vested in a trust. Remember that flyer where I said your kids need help inheriting your reverse mortgage home? That's kind of a lead-in for Title Pro, using Title Pro. Title Pro has when an older homeowner has a reverse mortgage and they haven't paid their property taxes. That kind of means there's a cash flow issue. So that's how I'm going to use the two. So let's hop in. Let's do one that I think is pretty interesting. Now, you can use the map function. If you're going to farming, you can do a radius search. Right now, I'm just going to do an area search. I happen to live in Orange, so this is where I do a lot of my things. And so instead of doing a radius search, I'm just going to do Orange because I'm all over Orange all the time. I would do a radius search or draw something because I'm trying to get houses that are nearby me, because that's my best shot of actually being able to follow up with the people, stay in front of them, etc. I found when I go out too far, and this is just me, I don't know, maybe I get unmotivated one day, maybe I get busy, and so I just need to have a way where I'm saying I really am interested in these areas and I will stay on top of them, which means they're close to me. They're either by my Irvine office, they're by my house in Orange, they're on my way to my son's school in Tustin. So I want to try to stay places where I know I'm going to keep on top of these people, right? Okay, so I'm just going to choose Orange right now. And let's see. Let's do a get count. Just I like to keep the software updating. So I'm looking at house in Orange right now. Next thing I'm going to do is start to get a little bit more into it. So I want to go to people that have reverse mortgages. So we're going to go to first mortgage purchase. I'm going to go to reverse mortgage. Oops, not that one. Sorry. Reverse mortgage. Okay. So I'm going to get people have reverse mortgages. Now you notice I could do the loan date here. Maybe if I just want to do the search to see who's had reverse mortgages for 10 or more years, I could just do that right now. But I want to know who's reverse mortgages and who's had something else. Okay. I want to know who's had an affidavit of death filed on them. Okay. Why? So I'll say some of these searches I do, I don't know. I do them, but I can't say that like I'm excited when something works. I don't know. It's just sometimes just weird, right? I'm like not hoping people pass away. I don't want to know when it happens. But the house is probably going to need to be sold, right? Or somebody's left there that needs help. So I got to do the search. But this search just kind of, makes me feel funny sometimes. I don't know. All right, but I'm going to find people. So, wow, that's a pretty big search. Okay, I haven't done Orange in a little bit. I'm actually going to get this data today. Why? Because I have 11 reverse mortgage homes that are right around me in Orange that have a reverse mortgage and an affidavit of death filed. That means that something is going on in that house. If it's the last spouse or the last person on the loan that's passed away, it's triggered. These people, the kids are going to have to sell the house. And guess what? If the kids don't get in touch with the reverse mortgage company 30 days after we have sent them the letter, whoop, we can put it in default. The kids need to know that. Then the kids can get 6 months and then they can get up to a year. But this is the other thing where I will go into Title Pro and I'll look for houses that don't have a trust, that have reverse mortgages, because the kids have no idea what they're in for when they're messing with the reverse mortgage and no trust. It's a pain in the rear end. So I got 11 properties here. It cost me $8 to pay these guys up all day long, $8, because I want to figure out if there's something with these houses that's going to make them come to market. Okay. All right. So that's just one search that you can do. You could use this search with my what happens when someone passes away in your house with real estate. Okay. Again, I'm going to get to what I do with the flyers and whatnot in just a minute. So there's one search. I think that's a pretty good search. I don't know what else to say. It's not an exciting search. I don't like to see that. Let's see how many people are in default with the reverse mortgage in orange. One. Okay. That's not too many. That's oh wait, that's an affidavit of death and default. I just doubled down. So someone's passed away and now it's in default. I mean, I'm probably going to go to that house today. How about just in default with the reverse mortgage? That means maybe you haven't paid your taxes. It could mean the person has passed away, but we don't know it yet. But the mortgage company put them in default because they didn't fill out their occupancy cert. Okay. So I did divorce the other day. I don't think I got anybody because that's a pretty tough one. Let's see. Is there anybody in a reverse mortgage home and they're getting a divorce? No, nobody there. Okay. Hey, that's good. Maybe the reverse mortgage saved them from divorce. Okay, that'll be my new campaign. Get a reverse mortgage and stay together. That's totally nonsensical, by the way. Okay, nobody in bankruptcy with reverse mortgages, but hey, that default and that affidavit of death is certainly something interesting. Probate with a reverse mortgage home. Okay, good. All right. Oh, wait, that's because I doubled down. Let's just do probate. See, you got to know what you're doing here, Ryan. You got to do the search. Okay, so there you go. I think I was pretty inspired by the fact that we've had a situation where people have passed. I'm not inspired, but there's some meat there to go out there and see if people need help, and ultimately, if is it a listing, is it a loan? I don't know. All right, how about we do a cross search? Okay, so this is what I mean by this. I don't believe and the last time I knew, somebody asked me a question. Let's see. Well, you can't see the screen. Did I not share that screen? Is that so terrible? I'm going to go through and do that again. That's so crazy, you guys. Okay. You guys share this tab. I'm going to do that all again. Okay. So I'm in Title Pro. Sorry. It's a good thing I'm ahead of schedule. I'm in Title Pro, and hopefully you can see the screen now. And basically what I'm going to do is do some searches that you guys have heard me talk about. When you log into Title Pro, not Title Pro, Title Toolbox, once you get the login and you log in, you can search by farming. You can do one property search. Or you do farming. Like I said, I would recommend doing a radius search to really get close to home. But today I'm just going to do my city. So I'm going to go farming. I'm going to do area search. Like I mentioned, you guys have heard me say this, but I can do this a little quicker. I'm going to do the city of Orange. Boom. The account. We will go through and we will see how I find people that have reverse mortgages because I'm interested in older homeowners. See, Title Toolbox doesn't let you search by age, but Title Pro does. And so I'll talk about why that's important on my next search I do with you guys. Okay, so I found people with reverse mortgage homes. I got 392 reverse mortgage homes in the city of Orange. Then I wanted to know who has passed away. So I will go to affidavit of death. I will say I want it filed maybe within the last, yeah, we'll do maybe 7 or 8 months here. So this is the search you guys couldn't see that I did. Oh, why did it return? Oh, on. I got to do after. Okay. There's my 11 properties. 11 properties have had affidavit deaths filed in the city of Orange. I'm going to pull those properties. I want to know what's going on. I'm not going to do it right now. I don't have time to, but I'm going to come back later and I'm going to pull these properties. I want to know who's there, what's happening. Is it the last borrower that had their reverse mortgage that passed away? That house has got to be sold. They got 12 months. Is it that one of the spouses is now there by themselves? I guess what? Look at the data on that. A lot of times they don't stay there a long time after their spouse has passed away, even if they have a reverse mortgage. So it's a pretty good lead. It's $8 for that set of leads. Now, if you heard me talking to my when I was talking earlier, but you guys couldn't see, I doubled down, which means I wanted to know who had a notice of default and had an affidavit of death. That's a hot lead. I'm going to pull that lead. Why? Because I want to know what's going on in that home. Someone's passed away and no one's done anything with the mortgage company so that they put them in default. Is that house on the market? When I pull that lead, I'm going to check it out. Maybe it's already listed on the market. I'm going to go drive by this house. I might drop a flyer. I might knock. Especially if it's close to me. I mean, I'm in Orange. I can't get much closer, but if it's like 1 block away from me, I think that's a pretty good lead, y'all. So that's you guys can do this stuff. Okay. And like I said, you can go into other attributes here. I kind of horsed around a little bit. Like you'll see, maybe you don't even do reverse mortgage. Maybe you just do, or maybe you just do older people that own the home for 30 years and getting a divorce. Gray divorce, they call it. Yippee! Gray divorce. Cute, clever. It's not clever. It's not cute because it's a bummer that you're getting divorced in your 70s. But it usually turns into a buyout situation where if one can buy the other one out, they will. Otherwise, they got to sell the home. I don't know. There's realtors who chase divorce leads out there. Notice a default, say here's probate stuff. So, anyways, this software you can use to do all kinds of stuff with. This is a paid for search type stuff. But the reason I use it is they don't charge me by the month, which I really appreciate because I have softwares that I've used by the month and I'm like, I didn't do anything this month. It cost me $100 this month. It cost me $100 this month. And I'm like, I want to turn it off. But then I'm like, no, wait, I know I'll do it this month. And then I don't. So this software is like, hey, if you want this data, Ryan, you pay $8, you got 11 people. And if you don't use it next month, you don't feel like, you don't feel like a knucklehead. So this is where you can get in there and really dig around and find out stuff about people. I mean, I'm in there for things. So, people are probably looking at me right now. What's this guy doing? Obviously, I highly encourage the right type of behavior to see what's going on in that house. Can you help them? Not just knocking on the door, which you probably wouldn't do anyways, and say, hey, it looks like someone passed away here. Can I sell your house for you? Right? Like, oh, there's people out there that will do that. I've talked to my older homeowners who've had a loved one passed away and what called them on the phone and what showed up at the door. Like sometimes it's crazy. Like, so anyways, okay, where are we going next? Okay, so I was going to do this next search. Thank you, by the way. Whoever told me you couldn't see the screen, everybody owes you a big debt of gratitude because, yeah. All right, so let's do our next search, which again, I'm going to use a combination of Title Toolbox and actually Title Pro. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, because in one of these searches I'm going to do, I don't believe Title Toolbox is using age, but Title Pro has age. So times when we marry them together, maybe we get something better than what the original intended search was going to be. So let's go back to farming. Let's clear search. Let's do area search again. Let's do Orange. Let's get count. Let's go into some custom filters. So there's companies out there, and this is one of them. It's not really AI, but what it is, it's looking at who have sold their homes recently, What attributes did they have? How long did they own the home for? How much equity did they have? What neighborhood was it in? All the attributes that these softwares have, they profile who sold their home, and then they apply that profile to people who still own the home, but looks like they might sell. So there's companies like Remine, I think that still does it. Maybe Prospect Now does it. I think they still charge a monthly thing, again, which is why I'm not too hot on it, but I think they do it. I've been on Property Radar for a long time. That's why I keep on getting hit $100 a month, and I'm like, I just got to stop the madness. But then I feel like if I stop the madness, I'm not working hard enough. What a weird thing to make me do with my mind. But getting back to the point, this Title Toolbox, guys, they're not going to charge you monthly. They'll just charge you when you want the data. So I want to know who the next seller is in Orange. That means who might sell their house in Orange based on history of who's selling houses. Now, obviously, I don't think there's going to be 790 people that are going to sell their house in Orange. Maybe over the next year. I guess it's not too much to consider. But I want to do something even better than this. So thank you, Title Toolbox. You've given me 790 people. Now I can buy that data. I can narrow that data down, right? And here's how I want to narrow it down. I want to take a given area where I'm at, and let's say that could be this block right here. Okay, not too far from me, Orange. Okay. And if I know that the biggest demographic of people selling their homes are people like over 60 years old, if I know the average age of a home seller right now is 64, why not take this stuff that Title Toolbox just delivered to me and use Title Pro to find out which one of these homeowners is older? Okay. Now, an interesting actually happened with this software at one point in time was I actually found my father-in-law in here. I'd been to his house over the holidays. He said, "Hey, Ryan, I'm going to sell my house." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "I didn't know you're planning on moving. We really didn't know." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm thinking of retiring, this and that." And, he's an energetic young guy. I think he likes to work. He says he doesn't, but I think he kind of fancies being useful. He's a smart guy. Anyways, if he's listening, I plugged it in there for him. Anyways, when he told me he wanted to sell, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So then I got home and I was like, "Hey, I wonder if that Title Toolbox next seller would pick him up." And it did. So I'm like, "That's cool." And I was like, "But if I was an agent, how would I really know that this individual was maybe more serious than the individual down the street that was being flagged to sell?" So what if I would have put an age filter through Title Pro, and then guess what? It still would have delivered my father-in-law because he's over the age of 64, and I would have seen that in Title Pro. So let's take like 3830 Palm. By the way, this stuff is really inexpensive off a Title Toolbox. And I do some searches here and I'm not paying for anything, but I highly encourage just buy a little bit of data from these guys, $3 or $4. These are great guys that do so much work for us that we can use at very little bit. And I want to keep them going. They're not necessarily my friends, but I've known them for a while. And this stuff is so valuable. I want them to keep doing this for us. Okay, so 3830 Palm. So be a supporter of them. All right. For all these softwares, for that matter, I mean, this is incredible stuff. And mind you, this isn't AI that we're doing yet. This is not. This is just basic data aggregation and studying of the data. I try to use Claude to have it start running property profiles, and it won't. It's still not access. I think there's some type of privacy thing maybe still going on there, where I couldn't. I tried to make Claude do what I'm doing, but it wouldn't. And so there might be still some privacy stuff in there. And if that's the case, that's great, because that means that keeps it to the people that just want to go in here and actually figure this out. So here we go. You see, I stuck in 3830 Palm. It's one of the properties that came up as a potential seller. And now I can buy the demographic data information from Title Pro. So you see what I'm doing is I'm trying to compound these searches. Is this the somebody wants to know, is this Orange County Recorder's Office? No, well, it's not the Orange County Recorder's Office, but it's services that plug into the Orange County Recorder's Office. So, you know, all the title companies, all these softwares, everybody plugs in there, which is why when I thought I could use Claude to have it pull stuff from the county and then make searches for me and develop this whole marketing plan with all the, like I had this whole thing scheme written out and I uploaded into Claude and it wouldn't do it because it said the data wasn't available. I didn't go back to try to do it anymore because I got busy. It seems like AI might still be attached on those county records, and maybe because they just don't want, I don't know, a million AI agents just pounding homeowners with marketing plans. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet, but that's okay though, because I'm not trying to do a million people. That's way too much. I'm trying to do the people that are right by me, that I know I can spend some time in the area. I'm in the area already. It's going to be hard for me to say I don't have time to go one street over on a house I've identified that's a next seller that has an older homeowner in it that maybe doesn't have a trust. Like these attributes where I'm like, this person needs to see me because that is the person that could be popping up, maybe not tomorrow to sell their home, maybe in 6 months. But the point is that they have several things overlaying on them that I think might lead them to maybe want to speak to you. So I'll tell you a little about my experiences in a second here. So as you can see, I have some people that I actually have 7 that I've identified over, like I've been doing classes here, quite a few classes recently, and I have 7 people I want to buy. I don't know what's it costing me, $8. It's like, and then I was gonna give the Title Toolbox guys $8. I'm $16 in. I think it's just I just think that's just cheap. And I have something more in terms of an idea of somebody that might be a seller than if I were just going to go canvas and try to knock on every door or something like that, or make a call to everybody. And then you can start to overlay some of the other things I say that are external, right? How's the house look? It's in your area. You should know. Like there's things that you could start to lay on top of that. Now, let's talk about searches. Like I want to do, so I'm in Title Pro. I switched. Sorry, sometimes I don't mention. I switched softwares because I want to know like who has maybe let's do Garden Grove. Okay, Garden Grove is an established city. My dad owned a home in Garden Grove before he passed away. I spent some time in Garden Grove, a lot of time. I'm going to add Garden Grove. I'm going to ask it to say who has reverse mortgage homes. Again, I have searches that do this stuff. You don't have to try to follow along. So I've added reverse mortgage homes. Why does this Zoom thing keep on moving over what I need? Okay. So I got 345 homes that have reverse mortgages. You know what I'm going to ask it to do next? I'm going to ask it to tell me who has no trust. Okay. Because if you have a reverse mortgage home and you have no trust, then that's kind of, I don't know. I think that's something you need to be aware of. And so, I think they've changed this. No, I don't want trust corporations. Sorry. It's been a minute since I did this search. So, oh, here we go. I think I go to property. Sorry. Okay. Property, owner vesting. Okay. I got there quick enough. So I'm going to look for people that do not have a trust. So I will click everything in here that talks about a trust. Or I could just search by tenants in commons, things like that, and just include those only, which means that I'm searching for people without trust, but a different way. Okay, let's see. I think I grabbed everything that would kind of lead me to believe this house is in a trust. I'm going to say exclude those. Whoa. Okay, so I got 158 people in Garden Grove that have no trust with the house, the reverse mortgage. I can tell you from experience, that is a bad gig. Now, how about let's lay something else on top of that? Let's see, let's figure out if we can see how long ago they got their reverse mortgage. Okay. So maybe because remember, I want people 10 years and older on the reverse mortgage. So we'll start it, I don't know, 0101. Let's just go all the way back to 1995. You got your reverse mortgage. Now let's count back about 10 years from now. So like maybe 2016. We'll go 101, 2016. By the way, it doesn't have to be a reverse mortgage home. You can search by age in this just to see who's older that doesn't have a okay. So I think this is an interesting search, especially if I'm in Garden Grove, an agent in Garden Grove. I've got 40 people that have had reverse mortgages for longer than 10 years and they have no trust. Why? Okay, you can use my flyer. I say your reverse heirs need help inheriting your reversed mortgage home, person. You're intestate. You're dying without any estate planning. And you don't want to be in probate with a reverse mortgage. It's not a good time. So now I'll pepper a little bit in with on how I do this. And again, I call, listen, sometimes I call what I do. Oh, I didn't switch the screen again. Sorry, I used to doing this in person, y'all. Okay, let me build that again. So I logged into Title Pro. And the first thing I wanted to do, well, I'll just build all over again. The first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to go and find that house that looked like it was going to be a next seller, 3830 Palm. Because remember, Title Toolbox did a great job of telling me what they think the next seller might be. But I'm pretty sure the last time I talked to them, they didn't use data that had age in it. And so I said, well, if an average age of a home seller is 64 and I layer that on top of that sales data that they provided, maybe I'll get a better search. So here we go. Here's that house that Title Toolbox identified as a next seller. And now I can go into Title Pro and buy the demographic information on this person. And so now I can take that area, maybe where I'm at, okay, like over here, maybe that's where I live at, and see how old these people are that this software is identified as next seller. Okay, because maybe that's going to help me get a step closer. Maybe only one of these homes here in this area is somebody over 60 years old, which is the average age of a home seller, or average age of a home that was sold is 64. So you get the idea. Is up, and maybe that number 61 is one street over from me. Hey, I'm going to spend some time on that. I got to figure that one out. Okay, so that was me using Title Toolbox and Title Pro. Okay. So if you don't have fun like messing around with data, maybe this isn't. I did a different address. You get the idea. The idea is just using a correct, using whatever the address here. That was 3830, and I went over here. Okay, I did 3839. Well, if I did 3830, we would have known. We can find out if that person was that age. Okay. All right. So then what I wanted to do is I wanted to have Title Pro tell me who has had a reverse mortgage for 10 years and has no living trust. I think that's something that we should know if it's in our area. So I did Garden Grove. Okay, I'm going to add that. I went back over here. I said I want to know who has a reverse mortgage. Include, add that. That's when I came up with 349 reverse mortgages in Garden Grove. I said, tell me who has their house not in a trust. So I came down here. I'm doing owner vesting. Going back over here. Going to add everything that's vested in a trust and then say to exclude. Like I mentioned, you could do it the other way around. You could do everything that's not a trust and say include. And it should give you, when I've done that, it was off like 2 or 3, which isn't too bad. Remember, this is just, data. Sometimes it's not going to be exactly correct. Okay, so I think I grabbed everything that's a trust there. Okay. I'm going to exclude. That should get me down to 158. So good. 158 people that have reverse mortgages that have no trust. That's still too many people. I need to layer something else, and I also need to have something to talk to them about too. So that's why I want the trust. But let's go back to mortgage. Okay, let's layer in that they've had this mortgage longer than 10 years. So we're going to go recorded date. Should be right here. Recording date. I did for our much older homeowners. And I want to go about 10 years back. So I did 2016. Okay, so that means this reverse mortgage is older than 10 years. So here we go. There's my count, 40 people. Now what I could do is you could actually, instead of doing Garden Grove, you could plot them on a map and draw a circle. Okay. So once you get into the software, you'll see that there's all kinds of different types of searches you could do. This is Title Pro. I think Fidelity bought it. I don't know if they resold it, but you can call these people and they'll help you with searches. But again, if I wanted to buy this data, I could buy 40. I'd really narrow it down though. I'd want to narrow it down to more where I'm at. Okay, so I might draw a circle or some right here. So that way maybe I get 10 people again, so I can pay like $8 for that, maybe $8 for that search and draw together some decent prospects. Okay, so now what do I do with that? Let's see. By the way, thanks, Jim. Thanks for keeping me on track here with my searches. We've got some chats. Let's see. Try to stop sharing and reshare. I think you guys can see my screen, what I just did on Title Pro, right? Someone pop in the chat and let me know that I got that share in there before I move on. Yes, thank you. Okay. Thank you, Daniela. Again, I do this class more in person than on Zoom, so I'm flipping around. I forget I got to share everything with you guys. So I think we've caught up though. Okay, so let's talk about what I actually do with these things and what some of my experience has been. Okay, number one, obviously the experience with I remember I was going to go. Okay, for me, I call it the tale of two leads and how I got there. And this is why I say that, because getting the referrals is hard up front and easy after, right? You got to spend the time to develop the relationship with the homeowner insurance agent, the pool people, the plumber, all the people that are meeting these older homeowners that they find have cash problems that you want to get them to refer, right? So you have to front load yourself, just like anything else with that relationship. You're front loading the relationship, hopefully to get the easier leads or prospects or referrals after that. The stuff we're doing with this data software, you see how fast I'm just ripping through this stuff, and you guys will be able to do that too. It's super easy to find these people that have the potential to sell. Where does it get hard? Yeah, when you got to make the connection, right? It's the connection on either side. So to me, it's a tale of two leads. One of them is really easy up front. I can do all these searches. I can pull down a bunch of people I think I need to sell. And then the rubber's got to meet the road. Okay. On the other side, the rubber meets the road, and then hopefully you get going easier after that. So when I'm doing these searches, and let's say I've pulled down like that last search that I did on Title Pro, where I essentially grab homeowners that have no trust and have their mortgages for 10 years and have reverse mortgages, right? So that's a highly, I think start to be highly volatile in terms of what is going on in that household. So I used the flyer where I said, your reverse mortgage home, you're going to have a hard time with your heirs inheriting it. And that one I would drop. And the last one that I did that with, I dropped on a home that was on the way to drop my son off to school. I dropped that one twice. I have a routine. I drop a flyer twice, and then you could call if you want. You could buy the phone data from these or I just always do the stop. And that's why I keep it in the area where I'm at. It's not hard for me to stop by if I've dropped it twice, because now they've seen the flyer. And I say, hey, my name is Ryan. I'm in your area, happen to live in your area, work in your area. And I just happen to notice that it looks like you might have a reverse mortgage, and you should have your home on a trust. I'm just kind of concerned because it's very hard for your kids to deal with that. Okay. So the last one that I did, yes, lady answered the door. She'd seen the flyer. The other one, I don't know what happened to it. And I said, do you have kids that want to inherit the home? Yes. He actually lived with her. So that one ended where the bridge hasn't been crossed yet, to where obviously I've given the lead to a realtor friend of mine that has, talked to them. But what I'm doing is working on helping them to get to a point where they can do a trust. Now, remember, why would you want to do that with this person? Well, they've had the reverse mortgage for 10 years or longer. So unfortunately, and again, I would never tell her that, and I'm not hoping for something to go wrong, but the data says that you're starting to have a reverse mortgage longer than the average. So it's worth it, especially if you're a home that's close to me, if I can figure out how to keep contact with you and you value me helping you. Okay, let's move on to I'll give you an example of each one. An affidavit of death one I did that was 2 blocks from my house. Affidavit of death filed, had a reverse mortgage. Dropped the flyer that said what you need to do with a real estate after a loved one, right? What you need to know. So drop that twice. I always drop twice, and I knock on the door because I want them to have seen the flyer. That way I'm not a total stranger. I let them know I'm in the area. I live in the area. Hopefully that helps them relax as well. I'm not some just stranger. I'm in the real estate industry, and I happen to notice that it looks like somebody might have passed away here. I hope that's not the case, but is everything okay? And you have a reverse mortgage. Okay, that girl, mom had passed away. She was the last one on the reverse mortgage. Okay, now that affidavit of death had been filed a couple months prior, so I was a little behind the curve on that one. But she said, yes, we've contacted the reverse mortgage company, and she was the trustee, and they were working on the realtor getting to the point where they could list the home. But I still think that's pretty good. Another one that worked out, I did a tax search. So I started looking for reversed mortgage homes that had a tax default. I did that with Title Pro. So there was actually 2 places in a complex over in Tustin, and I hit both doors with my flyer. One door, never saw the people, never a light on, no one ever home. Don't know what happened to that person. The other one, 2 flyer drops, knock on the door. Older lady answers the phone, says, yes, I know we're in tax default. We're trying to deal with this. I say, well, maybe I can help you. What's the reverse mortgage company doing? Because remember, if you run across these, of course, you're going to use me as a resource because I told her exactly what the reverse mortgage company was going to do as time went on. So I said, your default is going to be coming. And then if you don't deal with it, a notice of sale. I said, this is what's coming down the pipe. So anyways, to make this a shorter story, this happened right around property taxes. Just missed the first one towards the end of first half taxes due last year. And as it turns out, she got her daughter to help her catch up on the taxes for that one. But the reason she was behind on the taxes because her husband wasn't working anymore. And so he couldn't do his job anymore. So they had that drop in income. And that was not a permanent fix. Her daughter helping her with taxes every year. Not only that, but their income was just dropping anyways for discretionary income. So I backed off a little bit after her taxes got set up because they still are obviously in a very emotional state of trying to figure out how we're going to stay or what we're going to do. I remain in contact with them on a very superficial basis because I'm waiting to see what happens for taxes this year. If they fall behind on the taxes again, I feel like that house is going to come to market. Now, it might come to market before then. So I really should stay more on top of that. But this is just to give me an idea. Now, a lot of times I get nothing, right? Obviously, I get goose eggs. I just think it's kind of fun to see how close I can get. It's always a exciting thing when you can just kind of turn the soil over and create something from nothing. I think that's awesome. It's fun. It's not, it's not work maybe that I don't know you'd want to do every day. But we know that these things are out there and they're happening. I know when I see these houses are in these certain situations, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to come to market. So you got some data in front of you that you guys can grab onto and use, and it's pretty cheap. By the way, I don't get any proceeds from the $7 or $8 or whatever it is. These are their own companies. I just happen to use their softwares and share them with you guys. So my point here is to try to make sure you all, especially since you come and you spend time with me on Zoom and you come to my classes. I've been doing classes over there at the board for I think about 13 years now. That you guys have a little bit something extra than maybe a realtor who thinks that reverse mortgages are a waste of time to learn anything about. I think it's quite the contrary. I think this is, we have so many people that own homes and they're older and they're asking questions about them. They have them. Things will go wrong with them. They won't be able to get them. Maybe they've got them. Whatever it is, it still is a way to be able to have a conversation with somebody about a product that maybe you thought was not helpful to you, but I believe it is, just not in the way that we thought it was. So that's using all of these sites and also the knowledge of where our boomers are at. I think it's our boomers a lot what's in play now because they own a lot of homes. Yes, the silent generation, which are the boomers' parents, we've still got quite a few of them around. But I'm seeing a lot of activities within that boomer market because they've just retired. Some of them just retired 6 or 7 years ago. Maybe they're in their early 70s. And I don't know. I think it's fair to say that things have gotten expensive on fixed incomes. All right. So let's see. I haven't been really hit with a whole lot of questions other than you guys thankfully reminding me and how inept I am at running the software sometimes, which sorry about that. But the point is that we got him up there. You guys saw how to use this stuff. You guys should have some data. By the way, I would highly recommend buying the annual study of buyers and sellers from the National Association of Realtors. For members, it's $19. And there's so much information on there on who's selling homes. I think it's a staple to have as a realtor to know who am I spending time with to get a listing from. If you're not a member, dude, those things are like 300, oh, I think $400 for that report. So your membership pays well at that point in time to get a terrific report that the National Association of Realtors does for you all. And I would go ahead and hop on their website and download that thing. You got to know what your NERDS ID is to do that, etc. But get that report and comb over that thing. And they come out, usually I think they come out September, November, because they run from like June to July every year. So the one that we have right now obviously came out just towards the end of last year. It's pretty fresh. It's still worth to go get that one until the next one comes out at the end of this year and keep you guys there. Now, I will hopefully be having some more classes on the calendar shortly in case you want to come back to that first class, because the first class really dives into the reverse mortgage a lot. And again, that's another thing that will help you with your clients. Not necessarily because they're going to get a reverse mortgage, but because of the things that stop them from getting a reverse mortgage. And then we talk about the reverse purchase loan in that class a lot. And that's a fantastic product because there's a lot of people that are getting reverse mortgages that I say, I need you to hold off before you get this reverse mortgage. I think there's a way that you could probably have a lot more money in the bank. And yes, you have to get to a different home. I'm sorry, but you can still get to a nice home, still be in California, and put a lot more money in the bank. Because what I don't like to see is sometimes people just barely have enough equity to get a reverse mortgage, and then they run out of money quickly. And then they call me back in 2 or 3 years and they're like, hey, I'm out of money. And I'm like, I know, because you probably, maybe we should have had you sell that house and get to a lower priced home, put a bunch more money in the bank, and have a longer term vehicle to work in retirement. Just because you can get a reverse mortgage right now doesn't mean you should on the house you're living in. And that's a tough topic to handle sometimes with homeowners because all they want to do is stay in that home. But I got to face them with the reality of what their financial spending has done sometimes over the last 10 or 20 years for them to see, you know what, you're right, Ryan. Even getting rid of my mortgage payment, I still might run out of money here in the next 2 years. Yeah, there's a good chance of it. And I don't want you to call me and say, Ryan, can I refinance? And I say, no, because rates are too high. And then I feel like, you should sell your house now. Well, maybe we should have done that 3 years ago. So I'm a big proponent, and that's why I work with you as realtors a lot. When we need to get someone mobile to help their financial longevity, that's the team that you and I are. We're the team that's helping them figure out their finances, the good place for them to live, the right house. All of those things are important. And that's what we do together as a team. So I like purchase loans more than refinances. Even though I can get a refinance done in my sleep in 30 days, 40 days, I'd rather trade that for a 90-day turnaround time into a house that I think is a better solution for them for the long term. All right, let's see. Enough of me just preaching stuff that just doesn't even matter. What do you guys think? You guys have any more questions? Would you like me to go over anything else? Again, you're going to get an email with these logins. When you get those logins, of course, you're going to have problems logging in because that's just life. Maritza can help you with logins. She's good with that. The searches, not so much. And the searches, sometimes you got to work a little on your own. Sometimes you can call those software companies. They will help you with the searches. Ultimately, yeah, I will try to help you with the searches. But sometimes I don't have the time to get all the way through it with you. I will help you as much as I can. But those software companies, hey, you're paying them $8. Make them work hard for that. $8 to help you with the searches. That's all. They're probably like, great. Ryan's sending us another person we're going to spend an hour with for $8. But hey, they signed up for it. So let's use those resources as much as we can. I will help you fill in the blanks if you need to. I'm centered in Irvine, is where my office is. Obviously, you know, I live in Orange. I've said that 100 times. So I will go to wherever you guys need me to go to help you try to figure this situation out. Or if you have like specific questions, okay, let's put slide presentation real quick because I want you to my information is on here. There's my cell phone. So you can reach me anytime. I finally got the share screen right. Yes, at the very final minute, last minute, I am going to share the screen. Anyways, that's my cell phone. You can text me there. You can call me. Texts are the best. Short texts are the greatest thing. A long email, I will get through it. But you know how that goes. I got a long email with a lot of questions in there, and then I got a fire I got to put out. A short text is a great way to get my interest and ask me a question because I get to those pretty quick. And obviously, call. I try to take every call I can, no matter what time of the day it is. I don't care what time you guys call me. I really don't. Like, if I'm too tired, I just don't answer it. Like, I don't care. But if I'm awake at 11 o'clock at night and you got a question, yeah, I'm going to answer that thing. Some agents, I think, are surprised when I answer at 11 o'clock at night. So don't be surprised. Don't think you're going to get my voicemail. I might pick that thing up. And come back to our next class because I'm so happy you all were here. And I hope that this was valuable for you to spend an hour and a half with me. If not, let me know what I could do to make it more valuable. Let me know what piece you think I can add to help connect dots. I'm out there trying to do what I tell you guys as well, which is I try to pull this data down and go to houses. I'm trying to see if I can figure out that piece of the puzzle. Because in my mind, that might be one of the last pieces that you and I can control. Okay. Hundreds of billions of dollars are going into AI to try to get big companies to figure out how to do this without us. And I won't go down that way. So I will continue to try to find ways that they can't yet to make sure that we get to retain our clients and still have great relationships, because I know that there's still a lot of our older homeowners out there that won't use that technology, even because it's still a person thing, right? So that's one of the things I want all of us to be able to do is stay in that person game and make those big companies spend as much money as they possibly can to try to figure out maybe what they'll never be able to do that we could do. Because I love that, man. That's like so motivational for me. And I hope it is for you all, because I think we're all still in a great business right now with our older homeowners. I think this is a great business that we're in, that they want us in person. So go out there and be in person for them like I am, and continue to stay in touch with me. All right. Signing off. Have a great day, you guys, and I will talk to you soon.